This is John L. Gray with episode 12 of the Raising of the Jedi series, Installment 1. And what we're doing now is bringing everything full forward. We have mathematics, we have geometry, we have all of the sciences coming together such that we can actually prove what we're talking about when it comes to the importance of spirituality and our ability to be able to affect change in our individual selves and consequently in our collective selves. Okay? For those of you who are new, this is a symbol, the ancient Kemetic symbol of Heru, and it is a force that deals with the will and the ability to effect one's environment. Okay, so I want to take a few moments to be able to kind of give you a reason why I'm continuing this series. This series has a lot to do with solving problems. Okay, if you remember, or if you can go onto my YouTube channel, John L. Gray, you'll see my very first video was inspired by my children who had a question to ask about why is the world so messed up. Okay, my answer was because the world is not familiar with the Tree of Life cosmological system. Okay, and the one that we're dealing with here has its roots in the ancient Kemetic tradition, and it's also being seen or showing up in several places like the Jewish Kabbalah. Okay, so this is we're trying to bring it such that we can give you the total quality of what the substance is all about, and be able to show you every aspect and why it is called the Tree of Life. And I'll explain that it is called the Tree of Life because everything on this configuration it can be applied to every aspect and every context of life itself. There's a particular level at which one can view life on. You can view it as low as the very earthly level, the very karmic level, all the way up to the very divine level of being able to observe phenomena, social interactions, as well as certain events, certain types of earthly events. Okay, we can even say celestial, but yeah, celestial events is within the Earth system. Okay, now this actually is able to bring together some aspects of science that are controversial today, such as the flat Earth, and this actually gives the context that starts to make everything make sense in its proper context and its proper layout. So hopefully we'll be able to go through this so that it's very intelligible, such that you can start testing it for yourself and start opening yourself up to other applications that actually make this something that you can see everywhere. Okay, this is the nature of truth, is that you can see it everywhere in almost any type of situation. So just as the tree itself has its certain configuration, the world in the environment that we live in, or the earth system that we live in, corresponds to that configuration, corresponds to this diagram. Okay, it's just a contextual way of looking at things. Okay, so this is the Tree of Life, and here we go. We're going to see what we can do to effect change here in our world today, where there appears to be much turmoil trying to cook itself up. Okay, so it's all in our hands now. So one thing we must ask ourselves is, if we are going to effect the kind of change that's going to allow human beings to be their best, we need to have some kind of common ground to be able to base that unity on. Okay, but first that unity has to come from within yourself. Okay, so what we have to do is look at our own social, our own social upbringing. And so what I can do real quick is be able to give some numbers as far as maturity is concerned, that will kind of give us a little guideline as to how we can teach our children these very concepts. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a picture for you. Hopefully it can translate from screen to screen here. And this is one of the first anatomies that I came with in my early videos. One of my early videos. I think it was our first episode of Heru. What this diagram does, it shows the chakra system. And in these chakra systems, we have in the first chakra system, we have the age of 0 to 6 years. And that corresponds to the root chakra that's at the base of the spine. Okay, 0 to 6, and then we go forward, or we go upward from 0 to 6 to 6 to 12, and then 12 to 18, 18 to 25. So that's your 0 to 6, 6 to 12, 12 to 18, 18 to 25. This is the area of Heru that we're living in, 18 to 25. This will be your chronological age. So when we look at the age of maturity, or in some legal terms that speak of coming into the age of the majority, so a lot of you are starting to wake up to this now in the context of contract law. When we speak of the age of majority, we're talking about people who are able to handle their own affairs and be able to manage their lives. So at this level, anything below the age of majority or maturity is still acting or behaving in terms of being a minor or a child. And so what we have to do is figure out, okay, are we able to handle all of our affairs? And what are some of the things that are preventing us from handling our affairs? Okay, from being able to do some of your basic things, eating, drinking, doing all of the, being able to effect our Maslow's hierarchy of needs, food, clothing, shelter, etc. Our emotional maturity, our ability to interface in relationships such that we're not causing any troubles. Our ability to balance our intellectual faculties of being able to qualify and quantify, being able to visualize. Okay, so all of those things being handled to their highest degree. And so with that, how I've developed, what I've done to develop a way of being able to observe that in the Tree of Life configuration is to develop a type of system of hierarchy within each one of these spheres. Okay, I'm going to give you a little diagram here. All right, let me take these off. I know what these are, so I can get rid of these. All right, what we're looking at now is the diagram of each one of these. But for this particular instance, we're dealing with Heru. And with Heru, what we're looking at are the 3 levels, much like how we had in the previous episode. I'm going to show you that image as well. Previous episode, we had Heru. Put that here. Previous episode, we had 3 sections of Heru. We had the Sahu level, we have the Ab level, and then the Ba level. Okay, same thing is going on here, where we have the Sahu, Ab, and Ba. And if we recognize fractals, okay, fractals show that what is in the microcosm is also a model of the macrocosm in total. Okay, it's not the same quantity, but it has the same quality. So when we look at Heru in coming into the first phases, we're looking at leadership. Okay, and in essence, leadership is much better than being in a position where you're being led, because when you're being led, you have to have faith, and in a lot of cases, in our experience, we have to have faith in people that are untrustworthy, those people who are posing as true leaders. Okay, so what we have to do is find out, how do we get here if we're somewhere down here? Okay, the only way we can really do that is to master our breathing techniques. Okay, so these are some of the concerns that we have to take care of first. And I want to make sure and not leave anything out, but breathing techniques. Okay, these breathing techniques have to do with what's called frequency. Okay, now those people in spirituality who love speaking about spirituality, we need to get some facts and terms straight. Okay, when we're dealing with spirituality, we are dealing with nothing more than the breath. Okay, sublimated water. Okay, this water has the properties of crystal. Okay, and most crystals we recognize with our CDs, DVDs, they hold information. Okay, for the human body, us breathing in the water at certain intervals, okay, which are frequencies, by the way, those frequencies or certain intervals have a certain effect on the physiology, on the physical anatomy, the gross physical anatomy of the body. And what this does to the nervous system is it allows the information to be absorbed, to be reconfigured so that it's intelligible to us in the physical realm. Okay, so that's what our number one goal is to become more evolved. Okay, in order to evolve and move up the tree, we have to take control of our breath. Okay, so these are the things, the essentials that we must teach our children. Okay, the next essential. Let's see, I want to make sure I'm getting this right. The next essential thing that we need to know, okay, we covered spirituality, which is the regulation of the breath. We covered frequency. Frequency, no, we didn't cover frequency. Here we go. Frequency is either a beat or a pulse, or let's see, it's a beat, pulse, or a rhythm that is continuous, and that continuous rhythm has its own character and quality that's about itself. So if we have rhythms, beats, pulses that have certain rhythms, these beats correspond to numbers. Okay, if we can apply numbers, if we can know the numbers and apply them to our situation, whether that be our bodies, whether that be to our environment, whether it be to the sky and its circuits. Okay, so rhythms, beats, circuits, pulses. All right, these are frequencies. So we have to see how these frequencies are stepped down in order to come into our lives, and then we can apply those frequencies and the knowledge and the power that it entails, or that it gives to us. All right, so we are in control of this. So let me give you an image of that. All right. So here's another basic, fundamental idea. Okay. The soul and the spirit. We have to get this straight in the spiritual community. We need to know what the soul is, and we need to know what the spirit is. Okay, because the soul, we often hear that there is the what is called the heart's desire. Okay, the soul is the individuated quantity or the quanta of the first emanation of light. Okay, from the perfect black. Okay, this soul is the individual or the individuated emanation of that light, and it becomes you when it goes into a physical body. Okay, now where that soul resides is in the heart. Okay, this is why on the tree of life we have the heart chakra, which is Heru, corresponds to Heru. The heart chakra, which is the sun, which is also known as the Son of God in the Christian tradition, known as Krishna, known as Buddha, etc. We have to recognize that the soul is the S-O-L, Son, S-O-L-E, the only, okay, the individual, and that wants to come here and move within the creation on the earth, okay, which is why the bottom of its feet is called a soul. It's because it's planted here on the earth, on feet firmly, on flat ground, okay. So this is what the soul is. The soul is that spark that lives in the heart. It's the heart's desire. Okay, one of the things that the heart desires is to be unimpeded by anything. Okay, and so in that developmental process, that desire to be unimpeded, we have to couple that desire with discipline, so that, let's say the child is raised pretty much by himself or herself. That discipline has to still be there so that the child doesn't fall into error. Okay, the soul does not get to develop the way it needs to develop. Okay, because there are no adherences to the laws of this earth system / realm that we're living in. Okay, so that's the soul. All right, now spirit. And this also lends to spirituality. Okay, spirit is how the body actually manages the intake and the the inhalation and the exhalation of the sublimated water. Okay, the sublimated water is the spirit, is what the spirit is. It's the breath. Okay, it's the stuff that the breath is made of. And how you regulate that in the ab division is going to determine how high your soul is going to be elevated. How much energy are you going to be able to infuse into this spark to make it grow? Okay, so here the soul is corresponds to the consciousness / will, and this is found in Raoul Nefer Amen's book. I'm going to give you the reference. It's called The Tree of Life Meditation. This book is, or this particular entry is found on page, let me get this page for you, on page 13. Okay, he starts it out very, very succinctly. Okay, so the soul is the will and consciousness that has the potential to know. It has the potential to know, and it has the potential to do. It has the potential to perceive. Okay, and the nature of the soul, it has no storage. Okay, it is in actuality the growth aspect of becoming, what it experiences. So on the other side, the spirit, okay, the spirit is the vast storage. So we come here as souls without the information, but the information is always present. We're actually bathed in it, but we have to not take for granted the breath. Okay, we don't want to waste our breath in just idle speech. This is why it's not respected in the ancient cultures. Speaking, talking a lot. Okay, we're immersed in the stuff that holds vast power. Okay, vast power to know. Okay, power and knowledge. That corresponds to these two areas up here. Okay, now we can test this out. Okay, this is the only way I have confidence is because I walked through it. It took a long time, and I was expecting this episode to be out somewhere in April, in the spring, but I had a lot. I had a lot to uncover before I went forward. So I had to be humble. All right. Okay. So let's see. How you regulate the breath is via the body, and this regulation determines the growth of your soul. All right. This is essential. These are the essentials. Okay. We're going to continue. Let me see if I'm going to repeat myself here. I have some notes. I'm going to go here. Okay. So just to put this out here. All right. Knowledge that is not applied is egocentric vanity. All right? Knowledge that is not applied is egocentric. That's Sebek. Vanity. That's Heru. All right? So you know the kind, okay, that want to talk and look or sound good, and the kind that want to parade themselves around and just look good. So these are the two things that we must overcome as people, as human beings everywhere. We don't want to just be talking to sound good or to parade around to look good. All right. So we have, let's see. We're going to list off some things. It's going to sound like I'm repeating, but it must be said. These are the essentials. Okay? Evolution is only of the soul. All right? Evolution is only of the soul. Okay? Everything else in physicality is merely adaptation based on local conditions. Okay? So you'll see elephants in different parts of the world. You'll see one in India with smaller ears. You'll see one in Africa with big ears. You may see something somewhere else, a woolly mammoth. Some have been seen within the Arctic regions. Ancient woolly mammoths, full of hair. Okay, so these are just adaptations, but these are the same species. The same can be said with man. You know, there are various adaptations that we have, and we have taken upon ourselves to use color and so forth as a way of dividing us when we all share the same blueprint. So we need to understand or understand certain things about ourselves that go beyond the superficial kahibit or the kab. Okay, the very shell of ourselves. Okay, this is just first sight stuff. We should be able to look into the human being to see what their soul is about. Okay, this is what Heru is, the soul. Okay, the development, the willful development of the soul. There are too many people in this day who do not have the will to develop their soul, and what happens with these people is they become victimized by those who would capitalize on them. Okay, so we need to stop the capitalization of souls who are not willing by becoming willing or by exercising our breath, by becoming knowledgeable of the vast storehouse of wisdom that we all are immersed in this earth realm system. Okay. All right. Number 2, the soul is the soul, S-O-L, the solar star or the spark of the earth system, of the very first emanation called Osir. Okay. Now, the body is the instrument or the vehicle. The body is the instrument or the vehicle facilitating the opportunity for the willful growth of the soul through applying spiritual techniques and and interacting efficiently and effectively within apparent limitations, where there are people, where there are places, where there are situations. These are limiting situations, okay? So we have to be able to navigate through these things carefully so that we can come out on the other side of those situations and make those things better experiences for everybody involved. Okay? Number 4, the higher the soul evolves, the fewer inner limitations the soul experiences. This is huge. Okay? What this is suggesting is that the fewer inner limitations we have, the easier it will be for us to handle the exterior challenges. Okay? And this is what we're finding that we're having trouble with now in today's world. We have too many inner problems that are based on ignorance, confusion, okay, and so forth, distractions that take the place of natural law, okay, natural science, okay, nature itself, okay, and it disconnects us from our source, from our sustenance, okay. The very earth is the sustenance of our bodies, our minds, our soul, etc. Okay. All right. So, all right. Here we go. Original emanation of light. Okay. The solitary resident. All right. So that's the heart. Is the solitary resident of the heart or the earth. Now notice the heart and the earth are anagrams. Let's see if I can spell this for you. The soul being the resident. Soul being the resident of the heart. H-E-A-R-T. Okay. And the soul residing in the earth. In the E-A-R-T-H. Okay. So we see where all of these go. Here, 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 and here. That's the anagram. That's the same. It's the same thing. Right? So there's no separation. Okay? We know that the heart is here and we're here. So this is where some of the confusion comes into play. I mean, people feel that, okay, we're on this ball that's spinning and wandering, hurtling through a vacuum of sorts, and these things have to be shown to be what they are, which is untrue. We are able to be standing stable here on a plane that allows us to have consistency in our measurements, of time, space. Okay, the space is really anything between my hands. You know, it's not a vacuum somewhere out there. Okay? Even up there, there's certain limitations and parameters, but that's another story or videos that's for some other time. Okay, we have plenty of people that can expand on that. All right. Let me see if I'm getting everything going here, because we gotta make this so that it can be applied. That's why I'm here today. All right. So for those who are below the mountaintop, okay, these are the ones that have to be led. Okay, leadership is at the lower third of the image that I showed you. Leadership is just the lower third. It's down here. Okay, the pitfalls of leadership is you can be corrupted easily because you have attachments to the lower side. And so if you're not moving, if your aspiration is only to be a leader, you're going to be in trouble at some point, because if your aspiration isn't to become Osir or the original spark that is unified, then you're going to be in trouble. Okay, that's the pitfall of being a leader. Okay, leader doesn't necessarily have to want to tell the ones who follow, namely the children, how to live, because the ego is still attached, okay, to the leader. All right, and so if the leader is too addicted to being a leader, it will make sure that everyone below him is ignorant. Okay, and we're seeing that now in the world, in today's world. All right, so, all right. Okay, so leadership. All right, the leader goes to the mountaintop. Okay, this is the mountaintop. You see the little pyramid here. The leader goes to the mountaintop and uses knowledge and charisma to influence those on the ground. Okay, that's anybody below this horizon here on this mountaintop. We're looking sideways there. Okay. So, in essence, what the leader does, the leader gives the man a fish that he may eat that day and listen to the Sermon on the Mount, or what have you. Okay, but this leader must move up or become sacrificed. Okay, and we've seen this in many cases, even in the Christian story, where Jesus, had to be the sacrifice. He wasn't trying to be, he wasn't trying to be his original self. He was wanting to be, he wanted to lead in essence. Okay, but there's other levels of reading the story where we can actually see that he became one with the Father. Okay, quote unquote. Okay, but in essence, what happens in the overall story is he's sacrificed. Okay, same thing happens with Martin Luther King. Same thing happens with Malcolm X. All of your leaders, your good leaders, JFK, are sacrificed because these are good guys, but it's almost a conflict of interest, in the world, in the world of materialism. Okay, so the next step, okay, the first step, leadership. Give a man a fish so he can eat a day. Okay. Second step is the teacher-student level. Okay. Teacher-student level has within it the two higher principles of justice from Heru and the natural law. Okay. So this is how this works out. Okay. Because Heru wants to continue up, he has to learn the law and has to learn natural law and justice for everything that's within the Earth system. Okay, so the teacher shows the student how to fish so that it can eat for the rest of its life. Okay, now when we use these terms of fish, we have to understand that these terms were used to denote the age of Pisces. Okay, so these people. The best that they could do was become fishers of men. But here in the age of Aquarius, what we can do is instead of giving a man a fish, we can actually show them how to live life, as the higher evolved beings, that we are designed to be. Okay, we're no longer, minors in school. We're no longer flocks. We no longer belong with the herds of cattle and the sheep. All right, so we no longer need a shepherd. We become our own guide. We learn about our central core, our heart, our solar self. Okay, and then we learn that our true nature is to return to that all spark of sorts. Okay, all Sarah. All right, so let's see if I got some more things here without repeating too much. All right. There we go. Looks like I've covered everything on that. Nope. Okay, we got the next level though. All right, remember we got one more level. That's the top level, is corresponding with the power, with the wisdom and the knowledge and the unity itself that we're after. Okay, because once the light, once the eye is lit, the whole body is lit. So you have connection. This is the whole effort of getting up to this point in the tree, is to make sure that we have total experience within the context of our physiology, within the context of the creation itself, and having those two to operate in unison. Okay, that's unity. That's true unity. It's not just unity with your fellow man. It's unity with everything. Okay, then you can respect the animals. You can respect the trees. You can respect the very earth that you walk on, and not do damage and harm to all of the ecosystems that depend on it. All right. So this top section relates to the sage. Okay, the sage that Heru ultimately will become if he perseveres in the application of the higher wisdoms. Okay, the higher faculties, or the higher angels and archangels. All right. So the sage unifies with natural law. In essence, he becomes the natural law. He becomes the living example on the earth. Okay. Now, in the Piscean age, these men are fabled and thought of by some as entertainers, magicians of unattainable feats, and by others even as charlatans. Okay, because they can't register in their heads that such a being can exist in the earth realm. Okay, but in the age of Aquarius, the age that we're entering into, okay, this is seen as the natural order of human spiritual evolution. Okay, now, while I'm on this thing of ages and so forth, we have to recognize some things about the ages. I always run into people saying, well, we're not in the age of, so and so and so and so. But we need to recognize some things about our earth realm. And the reason why we are not able to recognize it is because we think we're on a ball. Okay? And we think that we're flying through space at such high speeds that the sky is changing, constellations and so forth in a random type manner, and that's not the case. All right, what I brought here is a picture of the zodiac with the constellations around it. Maybe I can get a little closer. Okay, this zodiac represents the total sky. All right, so if I were to blow this image up and place it on the ceiling, okay, we can have a replica of the sky, and at some point we'd be able to lose a section of this, and we'd actually see the sky turning like so. Okay, it's not so much that the constellations are the thing that's making the age, it's the angles in between each one of these. Now, because we as lay folk, don't have the instrumentation that people had access to back in the day, in the ancient times, where there were different hinges where you can actually go and observe, the angles and the degrees and so forth of where these constellations are rising at and setting at. Because we don't have this, we don't have the luxury to actually count the degrees, in how the sky is actually turning, because that's what's really going to do it. The constellations themselves are, as it says in the Bible, they are to serve as signs. Okay, so if the sun is coming up after the constellation of, say, Aquarius shows itself, then that would be the sign that we are in, but we have no way of knowing what degree it is unless we had those observational tools. So that's going to be our next step to try to accomplish, is to establish some kind of mechanism or some kind of tool that's going to give us definitively where we are in the age. Okay? All right. So I've taken the liberty to be able to actually draw the 30 degrees within each sign space, and each of these I'm just showing, I'm applying math here so that we can test these things. Okay, so here's the math. This is something NASA doesn't do, so I'm going to do it so that if somebody has something to say, we can actually use some numbers. All right, so let's check it out. All right, so 30 degrees, we zoom in to this little area, we can actually see a total of 10 degrees here, but I want to give you some ratios here, some numeric ratios of how we're going to actually apply this to ourselves, okay? Because it's just vanity. Knowledge is vanity if it's not used. All right, so 1 degree in precession, okay, this whole thing is a precessional wheel. All right, now making one complete circuit, if we started at Aries and it ends at Aries, we have a total of 25,920 years of, and that equals one precessional cycle. Okay, we have each degree, so when it turns 1 degree, that's 72 years. Okay, so a whole segment, a whole house, if you will, it equates to 2160 years, or 2,160 years. All right, so we're going to leave this here so that you can see that there is rhyme and reason to our cosmic Earth system. Okay, and if we're going to be confused, it's because we're looking at that television, looking at a heliocentric model, and we have different ways of knowing whether or not we, are stationary, or the sun, if the sun is stationary. Okay, we have ways of knowing that. Okay. All right. Okay, looks like I've okay. I need to get to the next stage of what we need to do here. Now that I've established that there is a precession, okay, we need to look at some of the things then. Okay. So anyway, the unity part. All right, we've established precession, but if there's unity, the goal, unity is the goal of Heru. Okay, and straight up the tree. I'm lining that up. Unity is the goal. All right, so we have to know what we have in common. All right, we have the air and water. The water is in the air, which we breathe in. Okay, we have the earth that we walk on. We have the sky with its lights that affect us, okay, and the atmosphere that we breathe in. And then we have the ability to count. So we had precession. We covered precession. All right. Now with precession, what we're able to find out is, you have to excuse me, we have to find out how to apply certain frequencies. Okay, how do we step those things down? Okay, we know the sky has 25,920 years to make a complete cycle. Okay, now if we divide 25,920 by 12, okay, that's 1/12. Okay, we have what's known as the Kali Yuga. Okay, actually, I better make this so that it's more more visually appealing, okay, and understandable. I'm going to bring this forward so everybody can see this. All right, now make sure that audio can be seen too. Let's bring it down. Okay. All right. Here we have a lot of things that are going to be covered here. We have color. We have notes, C note. We have precession. We have tone. We have yugas. We have breaths per minute. And then we actually get into the rubber meeting the road, how many counts we have going in, inhaling, and exhaling. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. Okay, how do you change? How do you unify? How do you raise your frequency? How do you expand your soul? You got to breathe, but we got to know some facts here about precession. 25,920 years is one complete circuit, okay? And I'm going to direct your attention to this part of the tree where you see these circles, the circle with the dot, the circle with the line, circle with 3 lines, 4 lines, 5 lines, 6 lines, all the way down to the one that says 12, that has 12 lines in it. Okay, notice that each circle, okay, if I just drew a circle, had a dot in it, that would be one whole, okay? One whole, and we can hear in the language, one whole, one whole, one whole. The same as a whole, okay? This is how I'm just giving a little demonstration of the language, but I'm just kind of getting everybody used to the fact that much of our perception is brought about through the language, okay? And so we need to know that these aren't accidental words that we're using, okay? But one circuit is one whole breath, or for this precession is that whole zodiac chart making one complete revolution, okay? 360 degrees. These are numbers. This is math that we're going to apply later. Okay? All right, so when we make a half, when we cut that in half, we have a dot, we have a line going, a radius here and a radius here. That would be 180 degrees. Okay? Half breath. Okay? They correspond to yugas over here, and we're going to get to that. Okay? We got 180 degrees. We have 3 lines which have in each space the divisions. What we're looking at is the whole and then the divisions. We have the first division in half, 1/2 division. We have a third, a division of thirds. We have a divisions of fourths, which are quarters, 90 degrees. We have a division of fifths, which are each section is 72 degrees. We have a division of sixths, which is each section is 60 degrees. And then finally down here in the Geb region, we have a 12th division. And this corresponds to our zodiac wheel. And so this is where we get our zodiac from. It has 12 divisions in it. Okay? So we have a cosmological system, and we check it and we proof it. The numbers line up. The angles serve as a basis so that we can go and check other things that correspond to it, like breathing, like the angles, in between that we can check to observe what an age is, etc. Because these are all numbers. Numbers create certain qualities, okay, and harmonics. Okay, so when we have certain harmonics, then we know what we can match ourselves to. We can link ourselves to the cosmos. Okay. All right. So I want to move in, so we can get closer to actually applying. I know everybody's really wondering. Okay, how is it going to show us how the rubber meets the road? Okay. We need to know some things about yugas. Okay. That sounds like the library.
May I have your attention, please?
Yeah.
The library will be closed in 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
If you need to call for a ride, please make your way to the circulation desk on the first floor to use the courtesy phone. The public computers and Wi-Fi will automatically shut down in 15 minutes, so please save or print your work at this time. Special collections and the meeting rooms will be closed in 15 minutes. The terrace is now closed.
All right. Well, we've heard it from the library. I'm going to have to go on and get my Wi-Fi back on, and we'll pick it up at a better spot. All right. Thank you guys, and for tuning in. I'm going to bring this on home, and we're going to go forward from there. All right. Thank you guys for listening, and we're going to pick up next with the yugas. All right. Appreciate you. Thank you.